Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Steve? John? May we have a roll call,
Mr.
please?
Chair, for Selectmen, Selectman Ekstrom, Select-Person Ekstrom, Winslow, Cruz, and Holmes are present. Select-Person Donahue is away. And Mr. Andrews, the TA, is present.
Any announcements?
Mr. Chair, we have 3. The first one is the town of Wareham, in preparation for the storm, has closed school tomorrow. There will be no school in the town of Wareham. The town hall will also be closed for the day. And Mr. Andrews will address emergency situations in regards to shelter and needs for our citizens during his town administrator's report. The second announcement is from the Wareham Historical Society. Lead gardener of the Adams National Historic Park, Historic Adams Mansion in Quincy, Mass., joined Bob for a virtual tour of Peacefield, so called by John and Abigail Adams. In 1870, the country estate became known as the Old House by the descendants. According to Bob, the gardens boast original lilacs, wisteria, and a Yorkish rose planted during John and Abigail's time. In addition to daffodils, delphiniums, 4 o'clocks, nasturtiums, sweet bay shrub, and tree peonies. As much as possible, the gardens today reflect the 4 generations of Adams who have lived there. This event will take place at the Old Meeting House, 495 Main Street, Wareham, Mass., January 17th at 7 p.m., and the presenter is Bob McKenzie. Social and refreshments to follow the program. Members of the Historical Society are free. Non-members are required to pay $2. For more information, you can call 508-273-0069. The next announcement is from ABC Disposal, Town of Wareham. We would appreciate it if you could make the following announcement. We'll skip over that part. Due to the snowstorm, there will be no trash removal service for any ABC Disposal Service customers on Wednesday, 1/12. All service will resume on our holiday schedule, 1 day behind your normal pickup on Thursday, January 13th. Please call 508-995-0544 with any questions. Mr. Chair, that takes care of the announcements.
Thank you. And citizens' participation? This is going to be a good night.
2 weeks in a row?
Yeah. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, we have a bill from, invoice from CDM. It's the only bill that we have for the evening. Do it now?
Yes.
Usually do these. We have a bill from CDM on, here we are. This is for professional engineering services. This print's pretty small. From December 13th, 2009 through October 23rd, 2010. And this is on project number 55342, invoice number 803-606-75-23 in the amount of $43,000, which represents 98% completion of that portion of the contract. Make a motion that we pay it.
Second.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 400.
Those are all the bills we have. Next is the application for change of manager. Is there anyone here represent? Oh, Jim.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mr. Andrews, how are you this evening? My name is Jim Kane. I'm here with the AD Makepeace Company. With me is Jack Gadles, my colleague. We're here this evening specifically with its affiliate, Mill Pond Station LLC. Some number of years ago, the company acquired Mill Pond Station at 2569 Cranberry Highway, and I have been the manager of that for purposes of licensure since that day, with a variety of other things going on in the company. And we are currently scheduled to come before you on February 1st to deal with the 2 liquor licenses that were created as a result of legislation in July. It's time that I move off of being manager for Mill Pond Station with your approval and that of the ABCC. And we think internally we have a fantastic candidate for that, Jack Gadles. He's been with us working at Mill Pond for just over 3 years. He's done a great job remodeling the store inside. He's also been a very dedicated, diligent employee to date, and we think he's the appropriate person to now be listed as manager, as hopefully you folks agree with us on February 1st that we should move forward with the 2 licenses for Rosebrook Place. If you have any questions, we're obviously available to you. We hope to receive your support this evening.
Any questions for the board?
I make a motion to approve the transfer of license at...
It's a change in manager, actually.
Change in manager. Sorry. Here it is. I thought I put it over here. I make a motion to approve the application for change of manager from James F. Kane to Jack D. Gadles by Mill Pond Station LLC, 2569 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Mass., under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 400.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you on
Good
February
luck.
1st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
At this time, we have the town administrator's report.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, and through you to the members and to the listening audience tonight. I'm proud to announce tonight that we have put on a probationary period 6 potential police officers that have been budgeted for this fiscal year. I'm pleased to announce that these 6 officers are as follows: George Chandler of East Wareham, Ryan Gomes of Onset, Corey Mello of West Wareham, Erica Melberg and Christopher Cormier from Wareham, and Robert McLean of Plymouth. They need to go through a battery of testing, as you can see, follow up on a number of important procedures through the Human Resources Division in Boston. But I'm also proud to say that we're increasing the complement, getting back up to speed with respect to line officers in our police department.
If I may, I would just like to say that it's nice to see the majority of them are from Wareham, and that we have a couple that have been working as seasonal officers, intermittent officers, whatever. So it's nice to see us bringing them on. So hopefully it'll cause a little relief to the offices right now. So good job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I also wanted to mention in the same area, Police Department, grant application by Chief Stanley and his staff has applied for a very special grant to work with teen and teenagers in Wareham to assist in bringing about school-age children and hope to educate them on the dangers and consequences of drinking, particularly in some of our outlying areas where we have some hot spots and that the police department have been working on very diligently. The second grant is for a state 911 Department of Training grant, emergency communications through the State Department 911 in Taunton. This is a feasibility study, As you know, I also serve as the town's representative to the Regional Planning Agency with respect to departmental work on a Regional 9-1 effort that we're launched through a grant from the federal and state government. I'll keep the board posted on both of these matters. Second item, if I could, because we've received a number of requests for donations of land to the town, I've put together a land donation review committee. The committee is charged with the following. We need to gain an understanding. This task force will be working to gain an understanding of what our legal obligations are with respect to potential hazardous materials or other legal matters that might come up during this process. The initial meeting was held on January 5th, following a weekly leadership team meeting, and I'm proud to say that we have in place our land donation review committee consisting of Mr. David Bichette from our Conservation Board and agent will chair it, John Charbonneau, Town Planner, John Foster, our Treasurer Collector, Sheila Scaduto from the Assessor's Office, Mark Gifford, Director of Municipal Maintenance, and Biz Zaleski, our Town Accountant, will be working on this effort. And I think it's important to have a procedure, have it established, make sure that we can follow through on it to give the best amount of guidance. I know a number of individuals have been philanthropic in the past, would like to present the town with land donations. We want to make certain that we can standardize that process and also, in some cases, protect the town from any future liabilities that may be out there that may cause us some concern and impact our local finances. The third area, Members Ekstrom had brought this up last week. I wanted to include in the packet tonight correspondence from the Department of Housing and Community Development that we received confirmation back on our mini entitlement program for the project areas that are listed. One of which I think will be very exciting come the spring, which will be the streetscape program, village streetscape improvements in downtown Wareham, but also including assistance to the Housing Authority, housing rehab program, rehabilitation of 4 Recovery Road, and public social service activities. And we've also received confirmation of certain conditions with respect to the grant that I've included in the packet tonight. Item C, Mr. Chairman, through you to the members, I am working very closely with our regional planning entity to continue transportation planning, to be able to look at how federal and state funding can be used with respect to the region and certainly, most importantly, the town of Wareham. And I've asked that John Charbonneau review a draft MOU that dates back to the late 1990s. We'll update it, we'll get it in final form and get it back to the Board of Selectmen for your review and hopefully consideration and approval. Item D, I just wanted to mention to the board that we have, it might seem like a small amount, but we have saved the town $3,740 by working with our insurance company through the Mass Municipal Association. That's for an employee assistance program called All One Health EAP program, which will be provided to any individual in our service that needs assistance at no cost to the town. If I could go right to clerk's mention of the upcoming storm. Today we convened a meeting with Superintendent Rabinovich, Mr. Gifford, Municipal Maintenance Director, myself, and it looks like this storm is going to come in similar to the Christmas weekend storm, and we decided that because of the early morning effect and also alerts from NSTAR with regards to snow, ice, rain, snow, that we could potentially lose some electricity in town. I will be announcing and putting on our website a shelter which will be in the multi-purpose center we're in, and we will be opening that as the storm comes through. I'll have to make that call sometime in the early morning hours, Mr. Chairman. But we will provide safe comfort and not all the comforts of home, but we'll provide the multi-purpose cafeteria for individuals that would need some shelter sometime during the morning hours. We think it's going to hit sometime between 3 or 4 a.m. and mid-morning, and some folks think it might be all rain, but then I guess I'll be all wet. But In that case, we'll stand by our decision, I think, for the safety of the town and its officers and the employees that work for our town. If I can just hearken to attachment number 1, we are working on the final stages of the financial management action plan. I will be calling a Cranberry Commons Task Force meeting. I indicated after the holidays I'd be doing that sometime next week. I have been working closely, as you know, with the Chief of Police on his contract going forward. We continue to look at regionalization of recreation, particularly as it relates to, we had Laurie Kavanaugh, who is a head resource librarian in the library, working to move forward on some programs for our youth. We also are working, as you know, on the town virtualization of our computer systems, and Mr. Underhill has given you an update. We'll be keeping you posted on that matter. Selectman Holmes had indicated, and we will be looking at the complement of computers that might be with some useful life going forward, making their way to various needy parts of town government and also in our neighborhoods. I'm working with the clerk and Miles Burke, Director of Inspectional Services, on business certificates, as mentioned at the last meeting, and had sent out a memo to that effect, and we'll be calling a meeting shortly. I also have in process for your notation and edification in your board office as well as in my office a copy of the current CETA grant application for your review. And I believe everybody received a copy, and we also have on a flash drive a copy of the prior Westfield RFP that is available to the board. The last thing, if you can indulge me, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make it very clear to the public and the board, we are working very, very closely. We had a very difficult weekend, and make no mistake about it, we are working to ensure that we follow through with the investigation that has been initiated by Chief Stanley and his force. I'll be keeping you posted on that matter and other matters as we move forward, and I would appreciate any advice, if all the members here tonight, including Chairwoman Donahue, have given me solid advice and input to ensure that we have the highest level and ensure that we have the highest level of not only public safety, but the best programs that we can put forward for our community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for a very informative program you have, and thanks for staying on it. Rain or shine, at least we're covered, and we know we're going to be safe this evening. Town business, I think we'll turn it right back over to you on that.
Mr. Chairman, and I have to say, if Jim is still here, but Mr. Kane and Linda Burke were exemplary in helping the town move forward with the donation of a Christmas tree. And we wanted to follow the correct procedure, and members Ekstrom and others have urged me to do that. It is a donation, and the tree started out 10, 15 feet tall, and you can see by looking at the front of Town Hall that it's about 40 some odd feet tall. And harkening back to my Boy Scout days, I should have pulled out my pocket knife and figured it out, but it is a valuable donation to the town, and no kidding, but we do need the Board of Selectmen need to accept this gift on behalf of the town, and once again, it's a learning experience. I think everybody enjoyed the tree lighting that we had before Christmas, and this is following up on the formal procedure to accept it, Mr. Chairman.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation of a tree by 80 Makepeace that has been placed on Memorial Town Hall property.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, in a similar vein, the Friends of the Council of Aging, including Mr. Larry Gaines and others, Yvonne Stone, president of the organization, have made a donation of a Wii game from the Friends of the Wareham elderly, and They tell me that it can improve our golf game, Mr. Chairman, but I haven't tried it yet. There's not much that I can hope for myself, but you may want to indulge yourself with it, given how bad I am. But once again, this falls in that same category. And by the way, just want to mention that I put this on my director's leadership team agenda so that all departments now understand clearly what the process is. And once again, I want to thank Brenda for her help on this matter. Mr. Chairman, I would urge the acceptance of this donation. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation of a Wii game from the Friends of the Elderly to the Council on Aging.
Second.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 400. Discussion of
You want to do this first?
either or.
You want to do this?
Go right down. Discussion of open meeting law complaint. Clerk, would read it.
Recently, the board, the chairperson of the Board of Selectmen received a complaint which was filled out on a open meeting violation form through the AG's office. It's kind of mixed, and I will read to the public opinion of counsel on this matter. I did receive some communication this morning from the complainant, and the complaint is not an open meeting violation. But it was filled out on an open meeting violation form because that's all that was available on the website. It is an active investigation in the AG's office. And so at this point, Mr. Chair, I will read to you and the members and to the citizens the recommendation of Counsel Brian Riley, who works for Copeland and Page. And this is the gentleman, if you recall, who came to give us our seminar on the open meeting violations. Without going through the specifics of the allegations, I'll just say that as such, the board would not be in violation of 23B if it declined to respond to this complaint. As a practical matter, however, it is my opinion that the board should make a brief statement to such a complaint, even if it is just to say that the complaint was not filed in accordance with the law and the board will take no action on it. If the board makes no response, that may trigger the complaint into appeal and lead that office to make inquiries of the board as it failed to respond. So our response is that it was not a complaint to the in regards to the open meeting law. The Board of Selectmen actually were not mentioned in the complaint. It was an issue dealing with something else. So therefore, based on the statement from Mr. Riley and based on that statement, I move, if there's any kind of a recommendation from council, that no further action be taken by the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holmes. Do we have any
Mr.
questions from the board? Or
Where?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mrs.
No, you can go ahead. That's all
I
right.
would say my understanding, and from the paperwork we have, is that the chairman did address the concerns, although, as Mr. Holmes correctly stated, that this was not a complaint against the board, and an open meeting law violation cannot be placed against one person of a board, committee, or commission. That is what occurred on this. Chairman Donahue, although it was outside of the time frame of the open meeting law violation, Chairman Donahue did address it, did forward a response, although it was not warranted, and I don't really think there needs to be.
Yeah, it was not, through you, Mr. Chair, in response to my knowledge of this is that it was not a open meeting violation, and therefore there is no time frame. The form was used.
Right.
Because that's the only one that was online for the citizen to fill out.
Right.
So in reality, it's not an open meeting violation.
So if we don't respond to this because we aren't really a party to this complaint,
Right.
then the matter just gets...
Oh, no. It's between the citizen and the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
That is an ongoing issue. It's current.
It's just not us.
It's not, we have
That's
nothing
going
to
to-
do with
Well,
it.
it may be an ongoing issue. We
Right.
haven't received anything
That's
from
between
the
them.
AG's office,
That's
right?
between them.
So as right now, an open meeting law complaint is null and void right now.
There's
so
no, it's
there
not,
isn't
no,
anything
I
for-
understand. When I read the stuff, I realized it wasn't an open meeting law violation, but... So the letter that the chairman had drafted to send in response, we don't have to vote on that. If she chooses to do that that's...
Well, yeah, right. In other words,
Okay.
everything for the open meeting law is over.
Is
We don't
over.
have to comment on it or
Right.
make anything, but she's already answered it. So we're clear as the letter stated.
Okay.
And she didn't write the letter on behalf of the board.
No.
It was as, as an individual in her capacity as the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, which is what the improper filing of the complaint was addressed to. So, I don't think that there's anything, there's nothing that this board needs to do. And as far as the complaint, filing it, because the person chose to file it online, and that was the only
Form available.
form available, rather than writing a handwritten letter and mailing it where they would have directed it, that was the only way that they had an opportunity to file anything. But it's not a complaint.
Correct.
Just
It's not
as
an
though-
open meeting law complaint.
Right.
It's not our complaint against us.
Correct.
Right.
We'll go into other business. I think we have.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we received a request from Bay Point Country Club for a one-day liquor license. The request was submitted to our office in time. However, due to our meeting schedule, where next week there is no meeting, I guess I probably should have made that under announcements, right? There is no meeting next week of the Board of Selectmen. We kind of had to add this to our agenda. Is there a representative here from Bay Point? Kalina?
Good evening.
The request is the Bay Point Country Club would like to request a one-day liquor license for a special event being held at the Pavilion on Saturday, June 22nd. It's January 22nd,
That's all right.
2011. It's a graduation party for Jan and Chris Hogan. They're hosting for her daughter. The seasonal liquor license is for the pavilion. The seasonal liquor license for the pavilion, which ends January 15th with our extension. We have a year-round license at our clubhouse. Our request is for a one-day special events license on January 22nd, 6 to 1 a.m. on Sunday, January 23rd. So it would start at 6 p.m. on the 22nd. Closing time would be 1 a.m. on the 23rd. Everybody has a copy of the... does everybody have a copy of the... Yeah, okay. Did I say that right?
Well, you said it
6
right.
p.m. to 1 a.m.
Mr. Chairman, I have some concerns with this. I looked at it, and it would be fine, it would be put in if we were meeting on the 18th, Selectman Holmes is correct. However, my understanding is that a one-day liquor license cannot be issued to someone who has a license, whether it's a seasonal or a year-round. I mean, if they have a liquor license, they are not entitled to a one-day license in that off-season. And even the paperwork, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts paperwork, it says that the above-named nonprofit organization, which would imply that the only people who are eligible for one-day liquor licenses would be non-businesses or people that do not carry licenses as it is. I understand that we're not having a meeting next week. However, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting for this because I believe that is, I don't have my ABCC book with me because I was unaware that this was on the agenda until I just received it in today's packet. And if the board would have no objection to it or whatever, I would recommend that although we're not meeting next week, that we put this off, we get an opinion from council as to if we can even give a one-day liquor license to someone who actually holds a license, and then meet for nothing else but to vote on this next week if it is allowed.
Kara?
I did bring the blue book, and I know Mrs. Ekstrom had brought this up earlier. And what it says under Section 14, special licenses commonly referred to as, quote, one-day licenses, unquote, are issued by local licensing authorities and shall not be issued to any persons, association, partnership, or corporation already issued or in the process of being issued a license to sell alcoholic beverages as approved by the Commission. Special licenses cannot cover any portion of a currently licensed premise. So that language in and of itself seems to be contradicting, because they have a seasonal license which expires on January 15th that clearly says that they can't have a one-day license while they're currently licensed under their seasonal license. So, and I'm not sure that we can do this, but I would suggest that we make the motion on the application subject to approval by council, and have them look, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to interpret that language.
Their license, my understanding is that liquor licenses go from January 1st to December 31st, and the timeline that they have, whether it's seasonal or whatever, I mean, their hours of operation or seasonal license, while they can serve from April 1st to November 30th with an extension to January 15th.
Right. Which we did.
Right.
In their
But
case.
my understanding is that they have a license. So, I mean, it was great that Mrs. Winslow had this. If the motion is made, I will vote against it, because I don't think that we should have someone leave here thinking that they have a license and then try to track them down and say no. I would far more prefer us to get counsel and then to schedule. I mean, we can do it in a 48-hour notice schedule. We need 3 of us to show up if in fact it is allowable, and to do it that way.
Steve, you have anything?
Well,
We were under the impression that, given the seasonal with the function business, that we could apply for a one-day license, and it would be okay, because considering our clubhouse has a year-round license, that was the impression when we renewed our liquor license. Otherwise, we would have applied to be on the list to get one of the year-round licenses for the function facility.
It's a very,
I know it's
I
a
can
really
definitely
fine line.
see it from both ways. I mean, I don't want you to leave here thinking that you've got something either that you don't.
Right.
But I do think that in the interest of, doing this the right way, we do need to have someone double check that and make sure that we can issue that license.
I mean, and this is no reflection on you, because as Mr. Holmes said, we're not meeting the 18th, but, I mean, I don't know if we have an amended agenda, but, I mean, this isn't even on the agenda. So, I mean, technically, even for us bringing it up, we shouldn't be.
well, it's in the office on time.
I don't understand how you can say it was in the office on time. The date is January 10th.
Well, what he means is for the next, if we were having a meeting next
Right.
Tuesday, then the application is timely. But because
But then
we're
that's-
And
not,
because the
But then
date
that's
falls before the date of the event is before our next meeting.
Right, but if this comes in, then it would be up to the chairman or members of this board to decide that we would have a meeting to review this. I mean, just because someone brings something in, if our meeting isn't scheduled, which I think they have them posted, when we're meeting, but if they bring it in and it's not in the time allotted, that doesn't allow us to make an exception to the open meeting law to put it on an agenda that it's not posted on the agenda. It would be our responsibility to, if we choose to act on it, to post and have an additional meeting.
See, I seem to recall last year, I seem to recall, Kalina, that last year you had events there, but those events in the winter were held at the
Clubhouse.
clubhouse. Sorry, I couldn't find that word in my, where you have a year-round license.
We do have a year-long.
But as I also recall, the upper building was being renovated last winter. Is that not right?
Right. Correct.
It was all torn apart.
Right.
I've always wondered why they have two licenses there. It's another issue for another day. But
My apologies for the delay. This is the first time I've had to come and apply for a liquor license, and so when I came in, she did email Ms. Donahue and said she would, if she could get it onto the agenda for me. So.
And I
I
just want you to
think
know, I
this
mean, I'm not saying, Bay Point should have done this, or anything. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with our internal operations and what we either failed to do or should be doing in a different way. It has no reflection on you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
I think we need to get an answer.
I think since this was brought up under other business, which covers a multitude of sins, and the motion that Carol was making, even though if we sign now, I'm looking at why should the board come back? It's going to be hinging on whatever the attorney says, and he can look at it at both aspects, whether it was legal for us to have it now or not. And this way we do it now, and it's over with. And
I mean, if an attorney says that we can't do it, we're not going to do it.
What was did you make a motion?
Well, no, what I suggested was because next week is next week the meeting, the joint meeting that we have? Is that
There
what
is
we're...
no meeting next week.
No meeting.
Our next meeting is on January 25th.
No, isn't there some meeting that we have next week? The 19th, yes.
School committee. Budget.
So what my suggestion was that because we can probably get an answer from council in a day or two, I mean probably not tomorrow because of the snow, was that we approve it with the condition that we're going to seek an opinion from council, and if council says no, it's no. But we could potentially, because we have that meeting on the 19th, we could come a half hour early, and we could deal with this issue then on the 19th. And that's still, I mean, that's tight for your clients, I understand, but I mean, the other thing we can do is we can get the opinion from council, and we can ask Mr. Andrews to give you a call and let you know if it's going to be a no-go. I mean, that's another.
So if you made a motion to approve it, subject to council's
Approval.
then we wouldn't have to meet again on it.
Well, we wouldn't, but
If he got a yes or a no from Copeland tomorrow,
I don't think they're
it's
going to be
over.
open
We don't
tomorrow.
have to meet again. We wouldn't have to meet again except to sign it. If anybody can go by the office and sign it.
No, but at the same time, I understand what Mrs. Ekstrom is saying, and if it's better procedurally for us to have that meeting, we can do it on the 19th as a matter of process.
Well,
We're already discussing it now.
well, and I was just going to say in that, and while I appreciate...
We had one last week after we adjourned. We came back and did something for a one-day thing last week. Wasn't on the agenda.
that
Town
was-
business.
Yep.
We still have to
Well,
be
I
able
would
to
say,
conduct, we still have
but
to
we
be
did
able
have
to-
any other business on last week's agenda. We don't have it on this week's agenda. There's no...
Town business.
Where do you see any other business?
I see number 8, town business. It's town business.
And there's 3 things under it. Whatever.
What about that?
The identified of what's town business is what's under there. There isn't, usually we would have D that says any other
I
business.
didn't
We
write
don't
it,
have it.
so.
I know.
well, majority of all our on town business, we always have other business at the
Okay.
end. I know it isn't.
It's not
Now,
typed on
now
here.
what we're doing, we're playing with words. It could be a scrivener's error. So we're going by it. The lawyer will have to judge on 2 things. Is it legal? Both ways, with the open meeting law, and if it isn't, Friday we can post it.
We
and
don't
do
have
what
to charge
Carol
ourselves
said.
an open meeting law.
Well,
If we have to have the other meeting, we have to come in so we can post it. And come
yeah, I
back
mean,
in.
I think we're probably better to just come in 10 minutes early on the 19th and formally have the meeting. Because you know what? What's going to happen, Mr. Holmes, is someone's going to be out there who's going to file a complaint, and then it's going to hold these poor people up, and they're in business to do business and get their clients' needs taken care of.
Yeah, but on the 19th, you're talking about, I mean, they're having this, what is the date on this? It's 22nd. You're gonna wait until the 19th to tell the owner, yeah, you can have this, or no, you can't?
No, if council says tomorrow that we can approve this license,
Right.
when have we ever denied a one-day license when everything's in order? The question here is
No,
whether or
that's
not
the question.
the
So what-
question, yeah, the question is whether or not we can legally give them
Right.
that's the only, I mean, there's no other objection to this. Maybe that's the vote we should take, if anybody else has any other objection to it, so that they feel,
See,
I don't know.
think the motion, through you, Mr. Chair, the motion Mrs. Winslow made sense, that you approve it subject to attorney's approval. And then it's done.
I don't think she made a motion, she was definitely
Well,
just
it
a
was just a
suggestion, so
suggestion.
if you wanna make a motion.
I mean, that seems, and then it's done, it's expedited. Tomorrow, Mr. Andrews can call the people and say, yes, you can have this, or no, you can't, in that building. But she can always have it at the, down the hill if she needed to.
Well, else we'll have to come back on the 19th.
Right, because that's a full liquor license. She doesn't need any special permission for that. But if you wait until the 19th, and the answer is no, then
Well,
it
the
doesn't.
19th will only be a formality.
That's what I'm saying.
You're approving it almost, if we happen to approve it now, the 19th is just a formality, because if he says we have to do it by the open meeting law, then we'll have to go ahead,
Oh, we
post
did
it
one
on the
last week, too.
right, post it on the 19th, and that's it. If we're gonna stick to it, to the law, we need to stick to the law on everything. You don't do one thing one week and one thing the next. And,
Unless it's a Scribner's error.
yeah, we are human, people do make mistakes, and we're just trying to hold up to it, so.
I mean, I think we're gonna have to take a formal vote on the 19th. I mean, I think we can make the motion to have council look at it, and we can, conditionally approve it, waiting council's confirmation of that. But I think we're still gonna have to have a formal vote on the 19th. Even if it only, I mean, we can give these folks some, let them know that they're gonna be good, but we're still gonna have to put it
And-
on.
And to support that argument with Mrs. Winslow, if they were passing it in, and as Selectman Holmes said, they had it in plenty of time, that was with them believing that we would be meeting on the 18th. So
Right.
therefore, what is one day?
So I'm gonna make the
I
motion.
just wanna
Yeah.
try to protect the people, the citizens, or whoever these people are that are planning a party.
Yeah, no,
And
I
if we have the right, if it's no, it's no, and then just move on, so that our local business can deal with our local people and take care of the arrangements for the family.
So I'm gonna make a motion that the board conditionally approve the request for a one-day liquor license for Saturday, January 22nd, 2011, from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the Bay Point Country Club Pavilion, subject to review and approval by town council. We're going to ask Mr. Andrews to be in touch with you once we have that opinion, and the board will formally meet on the 19th to dispose of this matter one way or formally dispose of the matter one way or another. But in the interim, she'll have her information.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
The word conditional on the license vote causes some alarm from where I sit, and I would recommend strongly that I'll reach council this evening and call the individual back to let her know where things stand with the prospect of the license, so
Okay.
that.
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
going to use a different word.
Go ahead.
Oh, are you ready? Okay. Thank you. That the board will approve the request for a one-day liquor license for Saturday, January 22nd, 2011, from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. for the pavilion at Bay Point Country Club, located at 19 Bay Point Drive, Onset, Mass., pending review and approval by council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made.
Wait.
Do I have a time frame on this?
But we have, what's the point of, here's the problem. Either you approve it or you don't. If you don't approve it, you just have Mr. Andrews get the opinion of council. If we're not gonna have the approval until the 19th.
Are you going to second the motion for discussion?
Oh, second for discussion.
Thank you.
Motion second for
What-
discussion.
What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to expedite the process because I do understand that you're working on a function and that you have clients who need to send invitations and other things that need to occur.
And Mr. Holmes, if it does go through, as Mr. Andrews said, if he gets an opinion from council tonight or tomorrow morning,
Right.
he could let them know tomorrow morning and then notify us, and we would just have to go in and sign the paperwork.
Because we're approving it pending. So she's,
Okay.
when
So
she
you're saying-
leaves tonight, she understands that if council says no,
Just trying to.
then it's denied.
So the board the motion is to approve this one-day license, pending opinion of council on whether or not we can give a license holder a one-day license in the off-season. That's the question.
And if this motion is passed, that means we don't have to come back on the 19th and sign because it's already, but if he has a question on open meeting law, then we'll have to go through the
Well, what's the
procedure.
open meeting law got to do with our motion?
Well, someone that brought up
Does
because it
that-
wasn't
well,
posted.
It would,
We're gonna
if I
file
may,
it.
Mr. Chairman, is that even when we get the complaint against the open meeting law, it would have nothing to do with the license. They would receive the license, and we would be the ones that would be reprimanded for having this discussion and having a vote on something that cannot,
And
on
since you're the
any item of this, be
chairperson, you would have to
considered.
write the response.
Thank you.
I'll help you. All right, so I think I understand. The motion is to approve the one-day license pending Mr. Andrews getting the opinion of town council. All right, I understand it.
Any other
That's the
questions?
question I had.
If there are no other questions, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
3-1-0. Sewer business?
Or is he going to speak?
Mr.
Are
Chair.
you planning to
Chairman.
speak? Is he speaking?
Yes, it's okay.
Mr. Chair. Miss Walter. Sorry. Through you to Mr. Andrews, can we just ensure that in the future all of our agendas contain that other town business? It's always on there. I don't know why it's not on tonight.
Yes, I will look
Just
into that.
make
because
sure
I-
that because when stuff like this comes up,
Well, I understand the word "other's" not there, but listen, we're a board of selectmen in town of Wareham. We have business to conduct in this town, and whether the word "other" is file a complaint. File the complaint,
someone will.
and we'll take it and let the AG's office decide whether we can conduct business or not.
I just want to make sure that in the future it
It's getting a little ridiculous. One word here, one word there. It's nuts. Come on.
thank you.
I have made a note of that for staff.
It
Thank
should
you
be
very much.
on there.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'd like to introduce Guy Campina, who's the director of our water wastewater facility, and he has some expeditious work to under item 9A. If I could ask him to give us an update on this and then move the agenda forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I believe you have in front of you, and good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, omitted billing. And I'm here to answer any questions about omitted billing, if there's any questions that you may have. It just speaks to bills that didn't go out in the 6 month. You made a commitment, I think, a week ago or 2 weeks ago in the regular billing. for the sewer department, for the semi-annual billing. And what we're asking now is those bills that were not included in that process. As an example, Wareham Crossing, they paid ahead 2 years, so they weren't included in that file that we gave you, or we asked for a commitment, I believe a week or two ago. This includes them, so now they'll be committed so we can bill them. Because of the way it was written up and they prepaid, it didn't get included, so it's got to be prorated, and that's what's part of that package. Also, part of that package is individuals that may have tied in the last year, maybe July or June or whatever the case may be. So they weren't included in this on the package that you committed to already. So we have to prorate according to the bylaws that we have, or actually as a policy, we prorate now to the month. So that's part of that package. So you get that billing. And also what's included in that is those who haven't tied in. There's 22 of those. And so that's in that package also. And they're getting omitted billing because they haven't been included in any billing forever. So we have to put them someplace, and here they are, and they're part of that package. And the actual bills we sent out, we turned over to Mr. Foster to commit, and he's taking care of that, and he'll come to the board at a later date on that. But that's what the omitted is, and I'm here just to, to answer any questions you may have on it, as I'm being educated on omitted billing myself. So I'll do the very best I can.
What I'm doing is looking at this and see if I see a package. All I see is one sheet, so.
That's all you're going to get. I asked the same question. I didn't know, and I had to go actually look in the files, the cards. What happened is, because of VEDA, and I'm not really up to speed on all of what happened in the past, so I can't speak to everything, but what I know is that all these cards were put into boxes. And on the desk of this of one of the administrative terminology is I was going to say secretary, administrative assistants. They used to keep it on their a box on the desk because of because it couldn't be billed and they prepaid two years ahead. So I felt nervous about that. If the building burnt down or whatever, if we lost those records, then guess what? We have no way of billing them. So I wanted them somehow submitted into the computer. And so we had to talk to VEDA on how we did that. There was no provision. So this is one of that stack from Wareham Crossing that we're getting now committed. So they're committed, they're customers, they can be billed and can move forward. So those are the type of situations that I'm trying to rectify and get billing out there.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we accept send this letter to Mr. Foster to accept the first half commitment in FY11 sewer users fees in the amount of $14,259.75.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope you feel better. You sound like you got a real bad cold,
Yeah,
guy.
it's something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's kicking me a little bit. Thanks.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, any other sewer business?
Mr. Chairman, not this evening, thank you.
Mayor's own report. You want to step up first? Or?
Mr. Chair, I had, as a sewer commissioner, I had a question on sewer business.
Sure, go ahead, Mr.
You
Thank
weren't
you.
quick enough.
Last week, at our monthly meeting on contract 1 and 2, the subject of contract 3 came up. And the word is out that we have contractors sitting around, estimators are sitting around, and I wasn't here when all this began, but as the board, the sewer commissioners, I want to talk a little bit about sewer business and contract 3, or what's the group's opinion? I haven't mentioned it. I've been here since April. It's really never been mentioned, and the time frame is getting short. If we're going to get this thing bid out, we're not going to get it done any cheaper for the taxpayers than to try to at least get it bid now. I think we need to get the ball moving on this and at least get it bid. Now, part of that problem with moving forward on that bid is, and I've seen some emails back and forth this week, was that you were going to prepare a final and approved list of pumping stations. As I've witnessed over contract 1 and 2, we've had to move several of those after the fact, which costs, increased costs to the sewer users. So I guess one of the questions, Guy, is, is that list complete?
I don't have the list.
Two, would the owners all agreed? I think last week it was stated that maybe there was still one that was shaky.
I believe there was one, possibly two that was shaky. I believe one pump station was going to be on town property or accessible property, so that
Right.
wouldn't be an issue. There was one that would be an issue.
Right.
And I don't have that person's name yet. Mr. Engineer said he'll work on that. This week we're supposed to sit down and begin preliminary discussion to get that and at least get some dialogue as where we're going to go.
Do you think we'd be in a position by middle of February
Absolutely.
with the pump stations and the
Absolutely.
layout, so that you can at least come back and present to us early February what it looks like, what the latest design is, what the latest features are, so that the sewer commissioners have a full view and the people can watch. Maybe they could do something on the PowerPoint on contract 3 so that we can all see what's going on. Is that possible?
I can't promise you the video, but I can promise you some information as where we need to go, and we'll at least have direction as far as the status of the individual or individuals that may need to be whatever the calmed or whatever the case may be to get that pump station.
Right.
So we'll nail that down for the town, and then once we get that nailed down, then I think going out to bid would be just a matter of process, and we should get it done, because they're absolutely correct. The way the economy is, people are sitting around waiting to estimate, and
they're
people
hungry. They're hungry for business. They have estimators sitting around doing nothing.
Absolutely.
And now's the time to at least get it bid out. But before we can do that, we have to make sure we have the design and the layout and the permissions and all that stuff is done. So
You're absolutely correct, and, of course, and every time you do a change of order, as you stated, it just costs us tons of money. So you're absolutely correct in the process, and we need to be sure and eliminate or minimize any type of change of order. So we definitely will get that done for you.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Right, you're absolutely correct, not only in cost-wise, but in time-wise also. At our last meeting at the sewer meeting, I heard everything was done except for getting approval for the pump stations.
Correct.
So the last email we got said you and John were going to have a meeting this week or next week. So when we come back on the 25th, we should have some kind of yes, no, or we're working on it. Because if it goes out, I think it said if it goes out in April, we'll be covered.
I believe you're correct, Mr. Chairman, because specifically we have a time factor, a deadline to get this all done, to take advantage of the program we're in. And I also like to point out that I believe, and I'll double check, but I think this is the last segment of our 12-point management plan for wastewater in Wareham. I think this will wrap it up. And then we've heard last week we have minimum gallons available, so now we need to move forward on what we're going to do in the future with them gallons. And once we wrap this up, then we can put this to bed and move on to what we're going to do in the future. Very good idea. I've got the reports, and when you said you're not meeting next week, I'll give them to you now. I'll give them to Mr. Andrews. But this wraps up our problem last week at the pump station, I guess. I mean, at the main break we were calling it, but it was actually a relief valve. And this is what I submitted to the DEP, the EPA, and I'll give it to Mr. Andrews so you can have it over the time and you can review it, because you're not going to meet next week. So if there's any questions you may have, it's in this packet.
This is regarding the breakdown near the Deacon School. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Down at Deacon School, and I do want to emphasize, which is really important, we had no environmental impact. Nothing got into any catch basins. We have the pond there, Webiantic, that was, it was all ground, and so it was really minimal. So I want to assure everybody of that. And this is the report, and we also have the report from Weston Sampson that was actually doing the work. They were contracted by Mr. or AD Makepeace to study that station on the recommendation of CDM on that Springborn station. So in that process, we have what they're trying to do is figure out the pump restriction, and all through our system, throughout the town of Wareham, we have relief valves. So as you pump, air has to go somewhere. So that's what this is. I won't bore you with the details, and you'll have it and you can review it, and if there's any questions, or if you're asking any questions, at least you'll have the report. It's full from Weston Sampson.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I want to compliment Mr. Campina because many of the listening audience and the audience in this room did not understand until I understood it, the quickness and the way that Mr. Campina expedited this matter. I was in touch with Superintendent Rabinovich as school was letting out, and actually visited the site with Selectman Cruz, Mr. Chairman, and we saw with our own eyes the work that was done to ensure that not only school let out safely, but the driving public were safe and the area was cleaned up. And that report, I'm sure, delivers the final grade, if you will, which is A+ as far as I'm concerned. And fine work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work, Mr.
In fact, the area looked so good when Mr. Andrews and I went by. We went right by. We had to call Mr. Campino to come back and show us exactly where the spot where the damage was done. But they did a real good job. And yesterday I went by your pump station on Main Street, and I was impressed. They were doing work on the surge pump and stuff.
Yes.
It's good. You're doing a good job.
Progress is moving along, and the guys
Right.
are doing a great job. So,
And thank you very much.
okay.
Thank you. Feel better.
Okay, liaison report, Steve?
Yes, under liaison reports, as the member of the board who was appointed by the board to be the liaison for appointments. I'm pleased to announce that as of today, we have 12 or 13, we got another one today, applications for the review of the RFP and recommendations from town meeting in regards to Westfield. And Mr. Chair, at this time, under my liaison report, I'd like to make a motion on the Board of Selectmen that from this meeting, or from beginning on the January 25th, that an agenda item as part of, other than liaison reports, be put on the board's agenda for discussion of Westfield.
Westfield, did you say?
Yes.
Oh,
I asked for it last week, didn't happen. Now I'm making a motion under my liaison report.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I made a motion
I'll
that
second it.
from beginning on January 25th, that there be an agenda item on our agenda entitled Discussion of Westfield.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0-0.
That ends my liaison report.
Very good. Kara?
ready? Okay. Really quickly, I'm going to be meeting with the recycling committee next week. The pay-as-you-throw subcommittee that we tried to put together back in September, there's apparently a glitch in how this works in our community. So I'm going to meet with them and talk about, we haven't had any applications yet from the community for it, but if you were thinking about it, just hold off a couple weeks. The second thing is the Marine Resources Committee, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Andrews, that's okay. The Marine Resources Committee is looking for an intern or some other volunteer help, perhaps a high school student that may be interested. They want to put together the, God, I can't remember the name of it, the plan, the master plan, but that's not what they,
Right.
what's it called? Harbor Management Plan, thank you. Can we, I know we're always looking for interns, can we see what we can do about getting that to them, because that's an important project for them, and they need some. See, the deal is that if I can't get them an intern, then I have to type it myself, so. Can we get an intern?
It's only 100 pages or so.
Sure thing. We'll look into it. As you know, the caliber of interns who we've had, just so that people understand, have been graduate level both here and at university. And but we will look for somebody who can facilitate the.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you are
Yes,
welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
consider it an exercise in learning how to propose harbor management. I mean,
Yeah,
it would,
I'm
it would
sure
be a good project for an intern. I realize that they think that typing is kind of one of those lowly tasks, but I think it would be.
I don't myself.
Kids today.
Well, listen, I'm going to work to find somebody.
Thank you.
I know Mr. Slavin and others have asked for this documentation. It is a project for somebody probably at the high school or, undergraduate level.
If I may, Mr. Andrews, that may be something in your conversations with Dr. Rabinovich. I do understand that high school students, in order to be on the National Honor Society, I believe that they need to do 45 hours a year of community service. And so that
Sure.
may be more in line with something for one of the high school students to do. Being someone who, if I was doing intern work, and while I can appreciate it would be to, review a harbor management plan or something, typing it, if I'm paying $2,500 to take a class, I don't want part of my work to be typing. So that
Sure.
may be something that Dr. Rabinovich could help you out with.
We work very hard to find somebody to
Thank
fit
you.
into this program.
Okay,
Thank you.
liaison report, are you, Mrs. Wolf? Mrs. Extra?
Thank you. I'm going to steal one of Mr. Holmes, I think it's Mr. Holmes's thunder on liaison reports. The Zoning Board of Appeals.
I was just gonna, you saw me go after it, didn't
The Zoning Board of Appeals has the wind turbine meeting tomorrow night. It has been canceled due to the weather, and they have not rescheduled the date, so please check with the office or online or with the newspapers as to when it will be rescheduled. But tomorrow night, the 7:30 meeting for the wind turbine is canceled. I'm sorry, 6:30. Yeah, their regular meeting is 7:30. Okay, but it is canceled. So regardless of when it is, it's canceled for tomorrow night. And then the other thing I just have to say is I want to wish Doug Westgate, member of the Conservation Commission, a speedy recovery. Doug had some medical issues over the holidays. I spoke to him the other day. He's doing very well. He is hoping to be back on the board, hopefully the second, which would be the third week, but the second meeting in February. I told him after 37 years of service, we could, cut him a little bit of slack and let him miss a few meetings. So, but just wanted to send a shout out. Glad that he's, here, that he's doing well, and we love you and miss you. So get well quick. That is it.
And on community events, they're taking applications. Applications are due by March 15th for organizations in town that put on functions. It's a way for them to get money for advertisement. So they're all aware of it, but the application needs to be in by March 15th. Thank you very much, and that's it.
Mr. Chair, did you also have a question from community events? I got a phone call from a lady about community events, about the liquor. You didn't get a question on that last night? She said they were going to bring it up on liquor on town property.
No, we didn't.
There is a question by the Onset Bay Association I'm looking at.
Right.
We're still trying to figure out where they're going to hold the event.
Right. But through you to Mrs. Ekstrom, I know she was going to check. Mrs. Ekstrom?
Yes, sir.
In regards to the Community Events Committee and liaison reports, this falls under that. They raised a question about alcohol. Remember I mentioned it to you?
You
on town property if they had a one-day liquor license. I couldn't find anything to say no to the woman. I don't know if that's why I was asking the chair if they brought that up last night. She said they were going to be bringing it up. Oh, you had the meeting last night with them.
I was there, yes.
Right.
Did they bring it up?
I don't think they brought it up officially.
It wasn't officially discussed to the degree. It does raise an interesting question with regard to insurance, with regards to prior policies and procedures, but this is not, just so that we understand the question that was raised, informally, by the way, this is about a tasting, if you will. So it's not like you're gonna have like an event where I guess you'd have to put it in some type of category.
Well, and I
That-
think, right, and I was gonna say, I think that part of the issue, I think that it would be different if, say, they were going to do a wine I don't know if you could even do this, but like say a wine tasting or something at the library in that community room, because it's a building, and so that you could, versus being in the outdoors or something. That may be another concern of it, but my understanding is that if a nonprofit, or, you know, if a nonprofit, as long as they hire, if they're hiring someone who has insurance, is bonded, you know, has the tips training and all of that stuff, to come in and do something like that, I think that you can do it. But I think there is a matter of like an outdoor, indoor venue, or the security. If some of you may recall that, I think it was Kenny's, that there was some concern when they wanted to serve alcohol and out the patio, and
Right.
was there enough protection of people hopping the fence or the chain or whatever. So there is some of that concern, but I think that, you know, I couldn't find anything to the saying that it was not allowed, but
Yeah, the other thing
again,
I
I
find
don't have my ABCC
Yeah.
blue book.
The other thing I could find that
You won't.
restricted was back a few years ago. There was a National Guards guy who, you know, the guards used to have the bars in the armories. Left the armory, killed somebody with his vehicle. He was drunk. He got drunk inside the state building, and at the time the governor had passed a law that said there would be no more alcohol served in a state or municipal building, as I recall.
Might have to
But that's the
update.
only thing I could find. Like, we can't have liquor here in this building or at town hall, but outside, yeah, there's no need for a comment on that. So, but I know it's going to be a big piece of the community events committees. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and maybe we can continue to do research on it. But I couldn't find anything in the bylaws, selectmen's manuals, nothing that came up and said that you couldn't do it.
It might require a separate MOA. MOA. You know, we have all these agreements with these people that use our,
MOU.
the MOU, same thing.
There's nothing in there about
Let me-
alcohol,
Memorandum
is
of agreement, memorandum of understanding.
Yeah. Well, let me continue the research on it, because once again, it was not brought up formally at the committee
No.
meeting, but it was a question that was posed by a very reputable group, and
Right.
it wasn't to...
Oh, it's not about the reputation, but those encompass the whole liability issue, and certainly if somebody gets drunk on our property and drives their car and kills someone,
I
then
think, Mr. Andrews, sorry about that. Mr. Andrews made a good point. He'll research it, because it is town property. And once we start that, we want to have a Pandora's box. Because we have big organizations having meetings in Onset, and whenever they have it.
Mhm.
And then we may start. If you have one, then you have to give it all. So best thing is, do your research, and then you can report back to us.
And we also
Thank
don't
you.
want to get in the business where we're competing with our function facilities. I mean, honestly. Can I just say one more thing before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman? Just one, very quickly.
Okay.
The long-awaited
What's it under?
annual
What's
town
it
report.
under on the agenda?
Under liaison reports. I'm the
Okay.
liaison on several of these things in here, so the long-awaited annual town report FY10 is available. I know it's been much anticipated, Mr. Barrows, so.
You absolutely can.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Aye.
much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.